Hi, I'm Paul Santinello. Welcome to this episode of The Upside, where we talk about all the good things that are happening in Longmeadow and our community around us. Today's show, I'm very honored to have Bruce Marshall with us. He's the owner and general manager of Classic Hits 97.7 and WARE 1250 AM. Bruce, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul. It's a pleasure to be here on your show, The Upside.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm Bruce, and I'm the midday personality at the Valley's Classic Hits 97.7 FM, and had the station for 16 years. And we started off being real oldies 1250, and then back about a couple of years ago, the FCC opened up a window where AM stations can apply for what you call a translator. It's sort of like a low-power FM.
Yep.
And I applied. We moved it into the area from Vermont, and we finally got it on the air, and it's been on the air since, I'd say just about the first of the year, and it's on 97.7. So at that time, I decided to re-image the whole radio station and scratch the real oldies 1250. I call it younger it up a little bit, and which is what we did, and moved into the 60s, 70s, and more, rejingled it, changed everything, changed the domain name, changed the Facebook, changed the website, just totally tore the whole place apart in a month. And at that point in time, now we are the Valley's Classic Hits, 97.7 in AM and 1250 AM.
So my question to you is, my first question is, because this is what's interests me, is that we're in a digital age, right? Every other medium is dead.
Right.
As you know, I have a business in which everybody tries to get us to market, and they tell us that mail-ins are dead, and TV and radio, no one's listening, no one's watching, we're cutting the cord. So how do you go from and these are my words, a sleepy AM station in Ware, Massachusetts, to expand into FM in a time where the digital age is telling us we can get everything on here, we don't need radio stations anymore? How did that work? Because I mean, was there any trepidation in bringing on an FM station?
No, actually, it was very well received. Folks really loved the fact that now they can hear their music, which they can't hear anywhere else, on FM. And you know, we're just not a music station. We're a full-fledged morning show where we have news, Dan Brown weather forecasts. We're tied in with Western Mass News. In the afternoon, 4, 5, and 6, we have live updates from ABC 40 and Channel 3, Western Mass News.
Nope.
And where do you hear high school sports? Where do you hear your kids play, Palmer, basketball and football? And now I've got a relationship with the Valley Blue Sox. We're the lead affiliate for carrying all the Blue Sox games.
Yep.
And so folks who can't get to the games, or parents who've got grandparents that are in Florida in the wintertime, well, you can hear their games. You can hear them all right on the station.
Yep.
And sports updates that you can hear in the morning, all your local teams. You can't hear that on your phone.
Yeah.
And you can't hear local community events like we were talking about, like Rotary or VFWs or things going on. You can't hear those on the phone.
Right.
So we're an independent station, and there's not too many that are on the air here in the Pioneer Valley. I mean, I'm basically one of 3 locally owned, local community programmed, and open to the public. My morning show is live. Andy Bukowski doing a great job. He's also the sports guy too as well. He calls the games. The Valley's he calls the games for the Blue Sox, and does my high school football and basketball, and that sets me apart from any of the corporate stations. That sets me apart from the phone and the internet. Local.
So, and that was, one thing when I went to the website and started looking at, you actually have bodies in the studios.
I do.
You're not, one of the transitions we've seen in Western Massachusetts is that a lot of stations are becoming regional, where, another station went where it's Worcester and Springfield, and
right.
I know Mass Live does a lot of Worcester and Springfield, but what I've heard from people is that they don't like that. But people in Springfield in the Springfield area want to hear about what's going on in the Springfield area, aren't too concerned about what's going on in Worcester. And I know it's a cheaper thing to perhaps have a simulcast morning show with 2 different areas. But your station actually has live bodies in the studio
We
that
do.
are talking to people
We do.
that understand the community.
That's right.
Which is very different, which is, again, not just the digital trend, but the trend in radio.
Right.
Is to consolidate and have one central broadcast going out to many
Right.
different stations, right?
And I'm going the other way.
Right, you're swimming upstream.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Right. And advertisers like that, people like that. You call up my morning show, you're going to pick up the phone and Andy is going to be there.
Yeah.
Or you call me up at the studio, you're going to get me. I mean, there's not many places that the owner actually picks up the phone and talks to its listeners.
Yeah.
And that happens. People have loved the FM. I mean, it's like a breath of fresh air, the fact that now you're on FM, and it's just, that brings me to a second part of the conversation. When I originally put the place on 16 years ago, I wanted a way to promote the station, and one of the best ways to do that was the classic car community. When I was asked by one car cruise up in Florence, Mass, to help them develop a weekly car cruise on Thursday nights, it was just a perfect way to promote the station. I stepped up the whole cruise program this year to promote the FM station, and where I am out either producing car cruises, helping people raise money, or even being an MC and a DJ for car cruises here in the car cruise. I can't even call it a fad because it's not a fad. It's something that there are people that love their cars and just want to sit and show them. Mondays I'm in Springfield. We had the mayor come by. He had a great time. We're putting 100 cars on Court Square. Tuesdays I'm in Westfield at Hampton Ponds. Wednesdays I'm in Northampton. I could be one or two places. Thursday I'm at the Florence Elks. And Fridays I'm in Tom's Dogs in Whately. And Saturday I could be in one place or another place. So it's a full week.
Yeah.
But it all goes along with the music, and it all goes along with reaching out to the community.
Right. So if you're not familiar, there's car shows in our area every night of the week. They used to be pretty rare at one point.
Right.
But now they're every night of the week. You
Right.
could probably throw a stick and hit one somewhere.
That's right.
Most of which you have your hand in.
I do.
Right. So car shows, what got you, and I understand you wanted to tie it with the station, but
Right.
you have to have some sort of background or love of that to be.
I like the cars.
Yeah.
I love, I don't own a classic car. Maybe when I retire someday, I may decide to have
You do
one.
too many car shows, you see how much it costs.
do too much. Yeah, exactly. But if you're a smart shopper, you can pick up something. I mean, handy I'm not. I'm good with electronics.
Yeah.
But with cars and gas engines, I'm probably all thumbs.
So how does, when you had about 100 cars down at Court Square,
I did.
how do you get 100 cars? So there's the image of downtown Springfield.
That's right.
No one wants to be down there.
Right.
There's a lot of things happening now. There's
There
a lot of
is.
good things happening. So
There is.
the
Very
image
good
was you didn't
Right.
want to be down there.
And there's still a lot of car people who say, "Oh, Bruce, I don't want to go down there." But then they see their friends down there. I say, "Guys, come on down. It's a lot of fun. It's a great place."
How do you get 100 cars, people with cars that come downtown Springfield and park them and basically you and I can go up and touch them, smell them, feel them, whatever.
Speak to the owners?
Yeah. And so how do you get them to come
How
to
did I get them
yeah.
to come down there? The radio station
Yep.
and promoting at other car shows with flyers
Okay.
and just building relationships with the car owners.
So when you're running these different car shows,
I'm constantly promoting
are there a lot of
where I'm
similar
gonna
people
be.
in
A lot
these
of what?
A lot of the similar people that come to these
Oh,
car
they
shows?
do.
Yeah.
They do. But sometimes they stay in their geographic area.
Yeah.
We get a lot of cars from sometimes even from over the line from Connecticut come to downtown Springfield. Everyone's curious about what's going on down there, of course, with the MGM thing going on.
Yeah.
And Court Square is a great place.
And car owners love to strut their stuff with their cars, right?
And they love to sit behind their cars and chat with everybody. Now, we're drawing a lot of public down there too as well. Hampton Ponds Plaza, Route 202 in Westfield. That show I started last year, 123 cars right out of the gate. I picked the right day, there was nothing else going on, and here we are in Westfield.
Yeah.
And again, we promote it with the radio station. That cruise is driven by the radio station. and it's promoted at all my shows. So when I'm doing a show for somebody, I'm saying you can catch me Tuesday nights here, Wednesday nights here, Thursday nights here, Fridays here. And so even now, car dealerships are getting involved because they're putting people on the lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's all good.
So what else is going on at a car show besides the cars? I mean, is there things for other
Yes.
people to do? Yeah.
Normally what you'd have at a car show, you'd have a 50-50 raffle. There's normally a nonprofit involved, so we're
Okay.
raising some money.
So some good stuff besides
Some good stuff is going on
stuff,
too as
yeah.
well. They have trophies, they have lots of prizes, and there's a difference between a car show and a car cruise.
Okay.
Car cruise, you might not have the level of trophies where they have best paint, best upholstery. You know, it just might be a cruise. The Tuesday night is just a cruise. I give away prizes.
Okay.
Prizes from local businesses in the Westfield area, and prizes from the stores in the plaza. So it's all a promotional vehicle to help bring business to the plaza, and we've done that very nicely.
Okay. So what's in your history of doing car shows, what is the most expensive car you've seen at one of your shows?
Well, I've seen Maseratis, I've seen some Rollses, I've seen Bentleys. You know something, you'd be surprised, even the Chevelles and the Mustang Roushes, they're up around $50,000 to $100,000, and the new Corvettes,
Wow.
they're up around that too as well.
So one of the things you and I talked about offline was the amount of money when you talk about a car show, how much metal, the value of the metal that's at a car show.
$1 million.
$1 million worth of metal.
That's right.
Isn't that amazing?
And that is totally amazing.
And you had 100 cars in downtown Springfield.
I did.
And this is the kind of, and again, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure there's pictures. If you go to Mass Live, they do take a lot of pictures of these things.
Oh, they do, and go to my website.
Yeah.
That show is put on by The Bid.
Okay.
They're the folks who run a lot of downtown events,
Yeah.
and we started this, and we had it on Worthington Street at first, and I made the recommendation you need to be on Court Square,
Yeah.
and we moved it onto Court Square, and it was very successful.
And then one of the, I'm going to jump around a little bit, but one
Go
of the
ahead.
things Bruce talked about, and you might have caught it in passing, is that 97.7, the
Yes.
Classic Hits, is the official broadcaster for the Valley Blue Sox. The
It
Valley
is.
Blue Sox are our local college baseball team, and their games are up in Holyoke. Local Longmeadow resident Hunter Golden is the general manager of that team. And if you haven't seen them or been to a game, this is some of the top college talent in the country. And it's maybe not quite at the level of Cape Cod, but it's right there with them, so to speak. And you see some really good games, lots of giveaways there too, lots of promotion going on with the kids. What got you involved in that? What made you think that that was a good fit for your station?
Well,
And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm telling you.
No.
Yeah.
On a positive, actually the team was just sold, and I was at an event where I met the old owner, and I said, I've got an FM coming on. I think this would be a good fit. You're not broadcasting your games anywhere. I think it definitely would be a good fit. Again, I think I'm a good marketer, and I think I hopefully make some good calls. And it's another way to reach out to another group of people.
Yep.
And so he says to me, Bruce, when your FM gets on and I hear it, and if it's everything you said it would be, then we've got something to talk about. I knew it was going to be good. I
Yeah.
knew we were going to cover the area that he needed to cover, which adds to him, which puts more people in the stands, which for him to sell more sponsorships.
Yep.
So it was a win-win for both of us. And so we put the deal together, and here we are today. We're airing the Blue Sox.
And what's been the response of your listeners?
I'm hearing good things. According
Yeah.
to Hunter, he says it's helped. He says people are all, like any sports, they always have the radio on in the stands.
Oh, really?
And they like
Okay.
to listen to the commentary. And so he says that's going on. I haven't heard any negative about it. And so, if all goes well, I'd like to hopefully do it again next year.
And you've seen good reception from people who sponsor as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a definitely
There is.
That's a pretty neat affiliation when you say the people listen in the stands, because they do that right at the Sox.
They do that.
Red Sox games and everything. That's pretty cool.
Even with my high school basketball, and they always have, their headsets on and they're listening in the stands.
Wow.
Which is really kind of cool.
All right, so I want to go back to radio. What
Okay.
got you into WARE 16 years ago to say, okay, this is what I want to do?
I've been in radio basically since high school.
Okay.
I'm from the Boston area. I started my career at a station owned by Kirk Gowdy.
Oh, really?
I did an internship, and it turned out to be a nice little job. And then I continued on to school, went to Emerson College, and then I got to work in Brockton at a station that was owned by my family. And I came out here. This is the second radio station that I've owned. I owned one in Southbridge for a while.
Okay.
I've got a background of a combination of newspaper and radio, actually. In the newspaper world, it's mainly in circulation, distribution. And in radio, it's been in ownership and been on the air and marketing, all marketing related.
So what's the biggest challenge? I mean, because Western Mass is not Eastern Mass. I mean, it's just a very different, it's two different worlds. I mean, and financially, I always tell people that if Springfield and the surrounding communities were in Boston, our home values would be about 4 times higher than what they are. But we're so, what's the biggest challenge when you came out here with owning a radio station and trying to develop that in a time when computers were coming in and taking over and that type of thing?
The challenge is I knew I had to be local. I've been out here now really for well over 30-something years. I worked for the Republican even before I got into the radio scene. But the biggest thing is local, 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 local. Can't stress enough of that.
Yep.
The challenge is like any business, whether it's a local newspaper or even the Republican, is having to sell ads. The FM has helped drastically. I mean, I'll never have ratings. I'll never be a big FM, and I'll never be a big Springfield station. But the things that I've done, I think, stand us aside. Being community orientated. Accepting the offer to come here on your show,
Yep.
which I thank you very much for allowing me to be a guest. It's great, and being out, trying to be out as many places. I like to consider myself, and I said this when I first put the place on the air, politician. Winning over one new listener every single day.
Okay.
And that is exactly what we're doing. And we're winning over one new listener every single day. Whether there's somebody who goes to the Blue Sox, whether there's somebody who goes to the car shows, seeing the logo out there, hearing me talk, turn the radio station on, listen to what we have to say between morning show or Gary James in the afternoon or my midday show.
Yeah. So that's the other I was going to bring up. You're an on-air personality too.
I am.
So it's not, Bruce's lawn's got to be about 3 feet high right now, because I don't think you have any time to do anything other than between your car shows, running the station, and an on-air personality. So how long have you been on air?
Oh.
Not just at WARE and Classic Hits, but
I've been on 35, 40 plus years.
Yeah.
I've been involved in it, yeah.
and you still have fun doing it.
It's still fun,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, everybody is going to have a bad day at their job. I mean, and even when you own your own business, not every day is a good day.
Yeah. Sometimes the boss is a jerk.
So, I mean, I'm going to have a bad day too as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
God, you could be in worse places.
Absolutely, but I mean, you're very different than I've had some radio personalities in here as well, but you own the station, you're very active in the community,
Yes,
and you're on air.
yes.
So you have to have some sort of connection with the listeners, with the valley, and that type of thing. That other personalities. I mean, there's some really good radio personalities
There
locally.
is, absolutely.
And unfortunately, we've seen a lot of shifts in radio going on. Some of them are corporate finance issues that are, hurting the local level stations.
Sure.
But the reality is, as you said, you might not be the biggest Springfield or be a big player, but you're growing.
Right.
I mean, that's what I keep hearing, is that your station is growing, and you're
Right.
making, headway into a place where it's hard to make headway in, especially with the digital era and, you know, you're just, I mean, it's like local TV stations. They might be really good at delivering the news, but they're fighting for everybody else's attention.
That's right.
When you got, you know, 600 stations to go look at any point in time, in addition to all the radio and the Spotify's and all those other things that you're fighting against. So,
That's right. I mean, you can now buy ads on Spotify, zoned ads, and probably buy them at some good rates. So I'm up against a lot. I mean, am I ever going to have some big ratings like any of the big Springfield stations? I mean, probably not. But am I going to build a relationship with an advertiser? Am I going to have that relationship? And am I going to get results for the advertiser? I am.
Yeah.
You know? And it's great to have the personal service with the advertiser, the fact that you know you're talking to the owner. And I've talked to just about every one of my advertisers at one time or another.
Yeah.
You know, I put on a new sales guy. I mean, we're making big strides, you know, all the time. And I would love to talk to people, you know, who want to reach that marketplace, who like to listen to the music and like community radio, and who want to reach the car owners. And that's a good chunk of our audience.
Okay.
People with money.
Yep.
And people who, you know, who might own a business and trying to reach the 35 plus.
So when you were down at Barrett-Jackson this
Yes.
week, and if you don't know what Barrett-Jackson is, it's one of the most prestigious auction houses in the world. They were at the Mohegan Sun Casino.
Yes.
I think this is their second or third time down at Mohegan
It's
Sun.
their third time, and I'm pretty sure it was a 4-year contract or a 5-year contract.
So were you able to get the all access pass because of your car shows or no? So when you go down there, I mean,
I applied. I'll be honest about it. I applied for, you know, a media pass, and I was able to get there. Steve Mignardi, I've had Steve on it as a guest. Steve is the host. I know Wayne Carini and Mike Brewer. I know all those guys. And
so you were a kid in a candy shop.
yeah, I mean, I was hanging out with all those guys, you know, which is great. You know, I've done some shows over at the Eastern States during the Big E, and Wayne Carini and Brewer come, and so it's those people know cars, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so it's great being with them, and it's great having to promote a very class show.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, and I said I'm going to jump around, but you know, the car shows are one of those things, especially when you're in downtown Springfield. But everywhere you go, you're bringing a positive event somewhere.
That's right.
It's fun, like you said. The car owners, it's not something where it's a museum piece.
Right.
You're not, you know, don't stay away. They want you to come and talk to them. They want you to go and look at their engine. They want you to see the interior.
Right.
So if you haven't been to one, I urge you to, you know, go. There's a lot of local ones, and even
There is.
one of the, I know you're at Gary Rome, and Gary's a Long Meadow resident, and you know you're at Gary's every other week or something like that.
Yep.
Or,
I'll be at Gary. Unfortunately, we got rained out. I'll be at Gary not next week, the week after. But Gary's a client of the radio station, and I proposed having car shows there, and we did it with one time a month. It went so well. Gary said that I want it twice a month.
Yep.
And so we are there twice a month. You can always go to our website at classichits977.com and click our Cruise Corner. And that will tell everybody where I am and what night I'm there and what other cruises are going on, not just ones that I have a part in.
right. So you're promoting even the shows you're not
It's
a
a
part of.
full-fledged Bible. It's a calendar.
Yeah.
Folks can go on there, no charge, and you can see if I have it in my calendar, I put it right up.
Yeah.
It syncs to your phone. It's a Google Calendar,
Okay.
which reminds you that there's a show coming up, and love to see you at all the shows.
And that's very telling that you're even promoting shows that aren't yours
Yeah.
for the benefit of the car community.
Right.
So you can even go, like I said, locally to Gary Rome, you can go downtown Springfield or any of the other spots if you happen to be up in Whately for just
Tom's
by chance.
Dogs.
And,
Tom's Dogs. I'm up on King Street at Carla Cosenzi's at the Hyundai dealership and the Volkswagen dealership. There's something going to be starting up in July over at the over in Hadley at Brunel's. They're under new ownership change. They're going to be called the Boathouse. They're going to be doing something on Wednesdays. I don't have many dates available. I was able to squeeze out a midweek one, but we are totally full, and the calendar gets filled up. Honestly,
Yeah, no, I know. You're a
it
busy
gets
guy.
filled up around January and February. So, if you know, somebody, any of your audience are interested in maybe putting something together, I mean, I'm happy to
Listen,
chat with them.
When I think I'm getting tired, I just think about what you're doing every day. For, you know, you're on air, you're out there talking about the station, you're making deals, you're running car shows, and I'm saying, oh my gosh, I'm tired. So, but you know what I really like about doing this show is that I get to talk about the good things that are going on.
Right.
And I truly believe what you're doing with your radio station, not
Thank
just with the radio station, but what you're using the radio station to help others do in the community.
Right.
Is really what it's all about. It's, you know, yeah, there's profit and losses and things like that, but when you're going out there and you're helping someone, you know, like you said, there's a charity event lined up with most of these car shows.
Right.
And that's very typical, but most people don't know that. So by promoting a car show, you're helping something else down the road.
You are.
And to me, that's the wonderful thing about it. It's not just that you have a radio station, and I think that's pretty cool in itself.
Right.
The fact that I just found out you worked with Kurt Gowdy, one of my favorite announcers of all times. You know?
Way back when.
You know, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, just, you know, that, but it's all those other things that you're doing with it. So,
Yep.
you know, it's not centered around just you. You're spreading it out like this, which is really what the community aspect of it is. And
Right.
I think that's you know, very honorable and something that we should, you know, celebrate as more and more radio stations are becoming corporate
Right.
and reducing that community type of flair that they used to have.
Right.
You know, and so I think that's great. So what's the next big thing for you?
Well, I think we're just going to do what we have and try to do
Yeah.
it well. You know, I'm not 25 anymore, so
all right.
you know, I think we got to build a station. I mean, we got to build 97.7. It hasn't been on no more than a couple of months,
Yeah.
so it needs to be built. You know.
So how do you go through the growing pains of, you know, it's been on for a couple of months. I mean, that's you brought something brand new to the
Right.
market.
Right.
You know, it's one thing buying a station that's been there that has recognizable call letters but you brought a new baby in.
Even the 1250 was literally, it was beat up pretty bad when I had bought it. For folks who might know the station, it might as well have been off the air.
Okay.
I took that station and revived an AM station in probably, 16 years ago. I mean, the economy was not the greatest. I was standing with all the other huge fish in Springfield, and I was able to put a small staff together and keep my expenses down and be able to keep a station going.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
then this one's brand new. When you talk
This
about
is-
bringing it from Vermont, what you bring, the 97.7?
Yeah, it had to be moved in, it had to be re-engineered, and I had engineers, you know, to take it and find the right frequency. And when the FCC opened up the window, you know, to be able to do this, the AM owners are you know, are very happy, because now it puts an FM signal into greater Springfield,
Yep.
Long Meadow, all the surrounding towns, 24/7.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I happen to
which
be
is-
of that age where that music is.
And you've listened to the station, of course.
I happen
You
to
love
be of
it.
age to be of that, knowing that music versus
Right.
some of the other choices that are out there. So
Sure,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, as baby boomers, there's 10,000 of them turning 62 every year rather.
That's
not-
right.
Or every day rather, I'm sorry.
right.
So it is that kind of music that's,
is.
you know, we grew up on, so to speak.
No, it's happy, it's fun, it's toe tapping. You know, it's people can remember back when they had their cars and they
Yep.
were going to sock hops and they were in high school and going out with their maybe even their wife or now, or you know, a girlfriend, and remember the malt shops and
Yep.
all of the good times, you know. And so it makes you know, it makes it all a good experience.
I was just recently talking to someone who is a little bit younger than me, and I say that a little bit more younger than me, and talking about transistor radios and not understanding what one was.
That's right.
So,
That's
so
right.
the folks that are listening to 97.7 or a good part of that audience do remember what their transistor radio was for.
They do.
Besides
They do.
trying to sneak it into school and listen to Sox games during the day and
That's right.
and stuff. But yeah, so that was very telling when I said it's a whole. My
Or-
kids have never seen a transistor radio.
Or maybe
so.
when they were kids and their parents told them to go to bed, but they'd have the radio under
Oh,
their
yeah.
covers and listening
With the little
to
white
game.
earphone in your ear.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I've done that, absolutely. So, Bruce, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you
Again,
for
folks, it's
inviting.
classichits97.7.com. I would urge you to go to the website. There's a lot of good information. If you're interested in the car show or the Valley Blue Sox schedule, you can pick it up there as well. I want to commend you on being so community oriented. It
Thank you.
really is really great seeing that when in a day where some of that's being pulled back through the corporate reins of other stations. So thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.
See you at the next episode of The Upside, where we talk about all those good things that are happening in our community. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.